Okay, thank you. So let's begin to close our eyes, and we'll just go through a small meditation, not too long, just to land in this space and to become open to the idea of shadow work and what we are learning today. So let's start to begin by finding our comfortable spot. See if you want to move around a little bit, or are you okay the way you are? Rest your hands, rest your body. Start to take a deep breath in through the nose and keep your eyes closed. And exhale slowly through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Keep going with these rounds of slow, deep breaths. And as we dive into the guided meditation, pay attention to what I'm saying. Take a few moments to become aware of the sensation of your body. Feel the weight of your body supported by the earth beneath you. Imagine that the roots are growing from beneath you. And with each breath, feel more grounded, centered, and present. We are doing deep breathing through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Just notice this natural rhythm of your breathing. Feel the air entering your body as you inhale, and feel it leaving your body as you exhale. Imagine that you are inhaling calmness and exhaling any tension that is stuck in our mind or body. Let the breath anchor you to the present moment. With inhale, you are opening yourself to new experiences, insights, and possibilities. Allow yourself to be open to whatever arises in today's session. Let go of any expectations, judgments, and simply allow yourself to be fully present. And take a final deep breath in and exhale through the mouth. Slowly bring your awareness back to the room as we begin this journey together. You can rub both your palms together and bring it to your eyes. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. So for the theory session, we are now ready, grounded, hopefully ready to receive the controversial topic of shadow work. It's one of my favorite topics. It's like some of us may be working on MS Excel for years, and we know all its functionalities, or any other tool, and we think we know it all. This is one such topic for me in psychology. With every passing day, it just keeps getting better and better. So without further ado, let me just get started here. I hope I am audible. Well enough. Can I get a thumbs up? Okay. So we are exploring the shadow, which is basically our hidden self. And that's interesting because we just feel that we have done so much work, we are getting more self-aware and so on and so forth. But the more we go into the slides, you may realize that um, there are still things that we may begin to understand more. Okay, so what is shadow really, right? It is parts of ourselves that we either hide or suppress unknowingly, but we do. So it includes our fears, desires, behaviors, even the dreams that we get sometimes. There's a whole theme of dream analysis. But if I have to summarize it in one line, the dream is all about you. Whether or not you think of it as one, maybe there are other characters in the dream, but it's just the shadow saying a hello in the form of a dream. So it's very unconscious, but it influences us deeply. Okay. So just for a warm up exercise, start to type in one behavior that you dislike in others. Let's see what comes up. Take your time. This cannot be a fast session. So I'm going to keep it slow and steady. Greediness, domination, controlling behavior, not following through what they are saying, impatience, dishonesty, wow, overcalculative, lying, confusion, not being able to make decisions, too much expectations from us, giving unsolicited, unnecessary advice, judgmental. Wow. So interesting to see that there are really traits in others that we very much dislike. And now let's just fake duality, right? Let's just reverse this. For me, one of the things that is very off-putting is nagging. My mother, with all her love in her heart, would nag me for every small thing. And then I got married after many years, and then my mother-in-law would nag me. And then to some degree, uh, one of my previous bosses would also nag me a lot. So I just kept saying, at least मैं ये तो नहीं करूँगी. At least I'm not going to do this. Okay? With my kid especially, at least मैं ये तो नहीं करूँगी that I'm nagging him. Okay? And turns out that I kept saying, at least I will not become this. At least I will not do this. And slowly yet steadily, it kept showing up its ugly head from time to time. I see a lot of smiles in the room, so looks like some people are relating. I'd like you to journal for a minute. And if you are very much up for sharing, well, the space is open, the chat is open. But exactly the traits in you that the traits that you dislike in others, is there any reflection at all of these traits in your daily living too, when you are dealing with others? So start to just journal a little bit on this, and we'll come back to the space after a minute or two. you feel like sharing, you could. If not, I'm good with the thumbs up. If you have been able to identify just one thing that you dislike in others, but you may also sometimes demonstrate. A thumbs up on the chat window or otherwise. Yukti gives me a thumbs up. My thumbs up, Richa, Sam, Mangyamu. And this is slightly deeper, okay? So it's okay if you can't, because that's why it's the shadow. we can't accept it just like that. That's hidden. Lavanya, Sai, okay, Madhu. So thank you for staying with this and processing it a little bit. Asserting superiority. Okay, Devesh. Yeah, I get it. I understand. Shipra, thumbs up. So it's interesting to see that I would be so annoyed if I'd get 2 blue ticks, okay, on WhatsApp. And for days, people will go missing. Until my parents started saying, "We are getting your blue ticks. What's going on? Why are you not responding to us?" So it is such a hidden part of us that unless somebody really shows it to us, we are just assuming that ye galat hai. So this is just one of the ways, okay, where we will understand shadows. But an interesting example, right? So if you think about Steve Jobs, right, co-founder of Apple, he was known for his visionary brilliance, but he also had a dark side, which was in public view. So that's why I'm taking the liberty to discuss it here. His impatience, perfectionism, and occasional harshness towards the colleagues were part of his shadow. Okay. And what it really did for him was it really had those strained professional relationships. He was seen as harsh, dismissive, intolerant of mistakes. So it led to a very high pressure work environment at Apple, with some employees feeling undervalued or burnt out. Also, conflict with colleagues came to a point where we all know what his abrasive behavior, it caused friction, notably, especially with the CEO at that time, which ultimately led him to be out of his own co-founded company, right? So personal isolation also something which he had a reputation of being difficult. So his intense focus on perfection often made him appear completely unapproachable, you know. So this is an example of a shadow where when it's not integrated and basically is off balance, it can actually become that uh, no matter how brilliant you are, but it starts to stand in your way in some way, right? So his obsession with control, unwillingness to compromise, impacted his relationship with family, friends, reluctance to also address his vulnerabilities, pushed his disease so much further, uh, of a certain cancer that he had, but he wouldn't be vulnerable to accept that he's going through something. So the treatment became harder. So despite these challenges, however, his ability to, channel his perfectionism into some of the great innovation that we today use, the iPhone, MacBook, and whatnot, it literally reshaped the tech industry, right? So his story actually highlights the dual nature of shadow traits. When acknowledged and balanced, they can lead to incredible achievements. But when they are ignored or overindulged, right, they can cause personal and professional harm. So on that note, I'd also like to start to talk about some of the ways where identifying the shadow becomes very hard, because we are just thinking it is the right thing, really, right? So, for example, but these are the subtle areas, and so if you some of you are taking notes, you will may not see this on the slide, but not all of what I'm going to say. So basically, identifying it, some of the ways could be whenever we are overreacting to others, right? So um, if I go back in my own life, I used to really resent this ki why women have to put so much makeup, like what's going on? क्या चल रहा है? इतना makeup क्यों लगा रखा है? Um, really the judgment was on. Okay, so disliking somebody putting makeup and overreaction. If a friend would sitting, I'd literally bring it up and say, क्यों इतना makeup किया है? Right? It actually indicates a projection, because what we are criticizing can also bring in the hidden parts of ourselves. With me having my own body image issues throughout, uh, I did not want to put any makeup in a protest to I am what I am, right? But that doesn't mean that putting some makeup is a wrong thing, right? It also accentuates, we can feel feminine. And slowly, as this came to my awareness, I was integrating it, and I do put some makeup now, and I really enjoy it. So, overreacting to others is one such thing. Emotional triggers on minor situations, we could be triggered and later thinking, did I really say that? Or uh, how did I have that slip of tongue, for example, right? So those are also some places where shadow is working, okay? And repeated patterns in relationships, repeated attracting similar conflicts or situations or people suggest that we are unconsciously drawing others who will then reflect parts of our shadow, which is difficult for us to accept. And then judging opposite traits, right? Somebody who is very carefree could be very much judging somebody who is over planned, and vice versa is also possible. Whereas it's not like both are wrong, right? Both have their own pros and cons. So resisting compliments or success uh, is basically indicating a golden shadow where you have something good, but you cannot take compliments. So we'll come to that in a bit. Also, dreams and double standards that we spoke about, right? Um, Fear of certain emotions like anger, sadness, vulnerability, suppressing it and not owning up to them because somebody told us that we can't be angry, or men can't be vulnerable, or women can't be angry, hypothetically. So we have now suppressed those emotions. Also, when we are idealizing others, right? That's also like overly admiring someone else's traits and achievements may indicate that you are projecting qualities that you actually do not acknowledge in yourself, such as a leadership skill or creativity. So, with that, I'll take a pause and open the space for some chatting or speaking. If anybody could relate to anything, any of the things I said, will start to talk about that a little bit. Please raise your hand so I can, or just type in if that's okay. So, Lavanya, you want to go?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So when you said like shared about the makeup thing and all, I also used to feel like no one said anything to me about the makeup, but because I never had that guts to wear the makeup, apply makeup. Because I remember one time I was in 8th standard. I had one lipstick and I've applied it because I loved applying it. But before entering my school, I've removed everything and I went because I felt I did not deserve it. And most of the people used to comment me on my color. They say that you look good, but if you have been like little fairer, then you'd be like beautiful. Yeah, like everybody used to comment me on my weight, my height, my color, everything. So yeah, when you said about like shared about the makeup, I also like got that situation in my mind. I also faced those. And yeah, there are so many, but this is the thing I just wanted to share. But now
Mm.
I wear makeup. I mean, it's not like I wear it, but I love to do it. Same like you. And I don't feel
Yeah.
bad about it. I am confident even with my bare skin or even in anything I'm confident. Like nothing to care.
Hmm.
Maybe from that situation changed me into this because of that situation happened. So I used to feel very bad for all those things happened to me. But in this journey, with all of your help of this community and everything, I don't feel bad about myself. I feel it's good that I got all these situations for me to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
that's true. And I think also integration of shadow is a long work, right? So some of the things become aware to us and we start to question ourselves. It begins with a question, and then we slowly understand that, okay, this must be a societal conditioning. Why was I rubbing off my lipstick? I actually do deserve to present myself the way I want to. So, it's also a shadow well integrated, probably now. But I also see Sam's hand up. Do you want to add something, Sam? Thank you so much,
Uh,
Lavanya.
yeah. Can you hear me, Chandni? Is
I
it soft?
can.
Okay. So I actually just wanted to share when you made us do that exercise, right? The thing that you dislike in others. And then the first thing that came to me was what I really dislike is like, the fact that my dad is like always worried about like my work and my career and if I'm making money, like every conversation opens with the same thing, like, are you okay? Like, how much money are you making? Are people really joining your online community? Are people really coming for your retreat?
Oh
And this
God.
is like this behavior of like, fear, it really triggers me.
Yeah.
And then as I was writing when you asked us to do this exercise, I realized because also it triggers me so much because somewhere um it's also an internal voice, it is the voice of my own fears and my own, and then when
Yeah.
somebody close to me is kind of vocalizing it like it fires up that trigger and that engine. And I also realized over time, as I have become more and more okay with my choices, it's my trigger with him has also reduced. I answer the same questions every call and like, but it affects me less. So yeah, so it's really cool because I was like, oh, I really dislike this trait. And then as I started writing, I was like, okay, yeah, it's because it's so alive in me, and I never thought of it that way. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah, so it was a
much
good
for
insight.
sharing that candidly. Yeah. Uh, Anu, you want to go next?
Yep. So, you said something in the middle that said, your what you see in the other person is your shadow part being reflected back at you. So I am in this difficult situation with my friend, and I feel like she's reflecting back a shadow part of me to myself, something which I have spent a very long part of my life trying to overcome. And one of
Okay.
the things that I dislike in others is lying. And I
Yeah.
used to be a pathological liar in it. earlier in life. Like if you would ask me what's for breakfast, I would lie about that also without any need to lie, okay? Because it was just,
I
I mean,
get
I
it.
would be who you wanted me to be rather than who I was.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
process of recovery, I see in others what I did at that point of time. So I know what's happening. But my need for them being honest with me is so great that I am not being able to be compassionate with them. So even today, as I mean, in my recovery, and this has got me to like the next step in, wherever I'm, kind of growing. Uh,
yeah.
at that point of time, I also needed a lot of compassion and affection and love in my life, which was not coming my way. And today, when it's my time
Correct.
to give it, my
Hmm.
excessive focus on ये मुझसे झूठ क्यों बोल रहे हैं is
Hmm.
standing in the way
Yeah,
actually loving them. And all they need is love. They
yeah,
don't need my judgment. I mean, everybody's judging
yeah,
everybody. So they don't need my. So this
yeah.
just got me into that space. I'm just trying to figure out how to move from, how to kind of disengage myself from this obsessive, कि सच बोलो मुझसे सच बोलो. So, I mean, I know I will love them regardless, but how do I get to that point is where I am stuck. And this exercise got that up for me.
Yeah, thank you so much for that vulnerable sharing, Anu. I think observing and acknowledging it is really that first step, and the fact that it has come up again, it's saying that look at me, embrace me, and after that we can do something different. And I think you are already doing that embracing part now. So in some time, it's now also you don't have to worry too much about how I will integrate. Like Sam was saying, it keeps coming up and up, and finally we also get to work integrated within ourselves. And of course therapeutic help, journaling, and there's a slide that will talk about more tools will help to fasten this journey. But I still feel that awareness and acknowledging and embracing our shadow is that primary step of doing beginning to do things differently. And even now when I put makeup, that part of me, that chatter that I used to judge, comes up almost like a revision, that you were judging and now you are putting, and see, it was cool then, it is cool now. So it's almost like a exam revision. So it only keeps getting better. So what does really embracing mean? Krishna is asking. uh, First of all, having compassion and not judging ourselves harshly for having that shadow in us, because it's a part of us. Generally we'll say mind, body, soul, ये तीनों ठीक है तो बढ़िया है. I would say plug the fourth one, which is the shadow, because when that is integrated with us, an embrace would literally mean I will stop judging, first of all, this part of myself. And then, of course, my judgment for others will also go down. And then I will take intentional steps, maybe the next time around, because the n minus oneth was just a learning. I observed my shadow. But the next time around, maybe my actions will have to now reflect the change that I want to see. ये तो मैंने समझ लिया. ये तो मैंने समझ, like अनु ने समझ लिया कि क्या हुआ, what happened, why she was judging this part of others. But now, when she has to judge a wee bit lesser and have that compassion and for others, that the tools can be anything. But let's assume she moves the needle from a 30% judgment to a 10% judgment. It's a progress, and she has embraced her shadow. Okay, so she has embraced her shadow by being more compassionate towards the other who is actually reflecting her own self in some sense. Okay, Krishna says, wow, this makes sense. I'm so glad. um Okay, I do have some more slides, so if you can please allow me to, because I want to at least get through some basics. Okay, and I'll come back to the raised hands. Um, just looking up where I can see you all. Okay. Why acknowledge the shadow? The power of integration. Can everybody see my slide? You all can, right? Okay. The power of integration. Basically, suppressing the shadow creates an inner conflict. हम सोच कुछ रहे हैं, बोल कुछ रहे हैं, कर कुछ और ही रहे हैं. I'm thinking something, speaking something, doing something else. It's going to create one deep inner conflict, and that becomes disease in our body, mental or physical. Embracing it fosters wholeness, authenticity, and inner peace. And shadow work builds self awareness and compassion. So, the power of integration, or why even should we bother to acknowledge the shadow? Uh, and signs of a neglected shadow. We already had a long list that I spoke to you. These are just 3 or 4 of those, right? Overreacting to others' behaviors, difficulty setting boundaries, repeating toxic patterns. Um, Also, the secret projects we try to fund. Suppose a friend is going through a hard marriage and we are trying to tell her, yeah, just using you as like a doormat, just get out of there, okay? Just get out of there. There's a very good chance that this person who is funding this secret project may actually be going through something like that in their life. And they are not having the courage to take that step in their life, but they are wanting to fund this secret project in another's life. Okay, so that's how controversial shadow is. So it's very tricky to catch it. Okay, um, not all shadows are dark. Okay, this is a beautiful subtopic within shadows. I don't want to just portray this whole topic as a negative topic, because it's not. In fact, this part of our shadow, the golden shadow, holds disowned strengths and positive traits, where we underestimate our own talents, we can't receive compliments. After nth speech, also still doubting myself if I can do it or not. That imposter syndrome, downplaying my leadership skill, right? So sometimes our light frightens us more than our darkness. That's the quote there on the screen. And with that, I would like an open discussion on the golden shadow. And you can raise your hand or type in what are the good parts of you that others will not stop telling you. They'll keep telling you you're so good at this. Or you also know deep down you are great at a few things. But then in real life, you will not own up to those. You can take a minute to think about it. Or maybe even just journal.
Uh, Hi, Chandni, sorry. Can you please repeat what exactly you said, the last three lines?
So Prabha, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you for that question. What I am requesting here is, we up until now we were largely discussing the dark part of our shadow. The examples
Yes.
were such, right? Now we are
Hmm.
talking about the golden shadow. These are also hidden. Why they are a part of our shadow? Because they are also hidden. Because if they were not hidden, we'll be able to embrace, say, for example, the positive compliment that came my way. I'd just say a thank you. I'd not say, oh, yeah, this dress, yeah, it's from this brand. No, but the compliment is,
Okay.
you are looking nice. The compliment was, that I am looking nice. All I had to say was thank you. I didn't have to pass that compliment to a brand. You get the idea?
Got it.
This is just
Yes, yes, I
one
got it.
example, one of the many example. It can be anything that others have pointed you are good at, but you still don't believe. You keep doubting yourself. You don't step into your power.
Got it, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabha. Interesting points on the chat window. I'm reading these. Thank you for sharing. Hmm. Anand, thank you so much for sharing. People say that I have calm and non-judgmental demeanor, but what's happening inside is so different. And probably it's a side of which I do not want others to notice. And why we do not want others to notice that inside we may not be so calm is because we are judging ourselves for sometimes not being calm and aggressive instead, hypothetically. So, somebody in the society might have drilled this into us that be always calm, be a good boy, be a good girl. So, now there is a lot of inner conflict. So, there is some well deserved anger, but I won't show it to the world. So, the world will think, oh, he or she is such a calm personality. But there is a deep conflict within me, and maybe it's even hinting towards better expression of some of that anger. That could be an integration of the shadow, where we're talking about grow your teeth. You don't have to dig, but grow your teeth. So people should love you for not because you are weak, but because you're strong. So you grow your teeth so people know if they mess up, you could be assertive and do, you could also have some anger. But a lot of us are drilled this beautiful image of god or goddess like calmness, like nothing can trouble me, whereas anger towards wrong is actually right. That's how all the justice prevails in this country. If we had no anger towards wrong, that's such a big miss. So thank you.
I have something to share.
Krishna, please.
Um, so I have often been told that I should try to take up stand-up comedy, or people wait for me at parties to come, and they tell me that I'm kind of creating the entire party and fun environment. And
Oh
while
wow.
I somewhat enjoy that compliment, I reject it completely. And I feel like, am I doing this to please people? Is this my people pleasing kicking in? Am I doing this unconsciously to belong more? So while I enjoy cracking the jokes and they come very naturally to me, I like getting people involved in games and activities and all of that stuff. It's really fun. But whenever I'm praised for this, I feel like they're telling me that I'm a people pleaser, that they're telling me that I'm doing
Hmm.
belonging. So I have never really accepted that this is something that I am probably very good at, because of this fear of I worked very hard to cast aside that people pleasing part of myself, where I would be whatever you wanted me to be for you. So now I feel if I'm being
Yeah.
complimented for something that comes naturally, I doubt even myself that, is it coming naturally because I'm naturally good at it? Or is it a part of my shadow kicking in, trying to make me more likable to other people?
Yeah, that is such a valid point you have brought. But how does your body and heart and mind feel when you're cracking those jokes, if I may ask?
I completely enjoy it. I mean, I'm just so in the moment. I know the next thing to say, and I know it's going to get
Oh,
people to laugh, and it's just
yeah.
so natural. I mean, I don't have a script. It's just off the fly. But the moment somebody says that you're so great at this, I go like, I'm like, poker face. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I
Yeah,
just
that's
walk from the situation.
beautiful. Also, this
Back starts
confusion
hurting.
is
When somebody compliments on
prolonged.
my back starts hurting.
Hmm.
Oh,
Oh,
it's tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a short way of the compliment not sitting well with you, but you also tell me that you enjoy it. And then, of course, as a byproduct, others also enjoy it, but it looks like you also enjoy cracking jokes. So, this fun side of you may be the one that you are not able to fully embrace just as yet. And maybe we are putting it aside as people pleasing because that may have been a dark shadow, right? That may also be the case that people pleasing might have been a dark part of our shadow. So we are getting confused when it's appearing in the golden shadow. But in reality, people pleasing is people pleasing, part of the dark shadow, something that we need to work on. But if there is something that I am doing for people and I am myself thoroughly enjoying it, then it is not people pleasing. It is also pleasing self along with others. Yeah, in some sense, but something to think about because these are very conflicted places. It's not this or that, but something to go deeper in your journey. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Chandni.
When people say I'm beautiful, I find it hard to truly embrace that. Sometimes yes, but a lot of times no, because never grew up with that, never felt beautiful in my appearance. With my mind, achievements, yes, but appearance, not really. So today, also, other people can tell me, but I really find it hard to believe. Thank you, Sam, for that vulnerable sharing. This is the golden part, which may need more hugs.
Hi, Chandni. I want to share something.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, like whenever people say that whatever I do, it will be like different or something, always I don't believe it because I feel I don't have confidence in me, or I don't know, because I always feel I'm just taking rest, I'm lying on bed, but I am finishing the work, but I don't accept it. That okay, like okay, I'm doing it, I've done it. I always feel like no, I don't have that capacity in myself to do something. So yeah, there are so many things I don't believe about myself. This is one of it. And another
Hmm.
thing, when you people were discussing, I got another thing where I have only heard of comments on me, not compliments more. But when I met
Hmm.
my boyfriend, like current husband, so when he used to
Hmm.
compliment me, I used to question him 100 times when he
Hmm.
used to compliment, because I never used to believe.
Can't believe. Hmm.
No, not at
Okay.
all. But now,
Hmm.
I'm okay. But yeah, these are all the
Hmm.
things coming up. Like I've experienced this and that. Like after listening to you all people, all the things are coming
Hmm.
up for me.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I know it's not like we can get over this shadow work like this. It's just a beginning of a new realization for a lot of us. And for a few of us, it may be reiterating something we already know about ourselves. Either way, wherever we may be in our journey, the interesting thing to know is that it's an ongoing journey for all of us. There is no end destination. We're just getting better and better every day. And we live a more fuller life. Why are we even going in such great depths of discussing this? Because if we could embrace the golden shadow, part of our shadow, we can also begin to feel or source joy out of those things that we are not believing just as yet, right? So a lot of times, it's so funny, during my corporate stint, my friends would say, we can't go to an interview without speaking to you. Somebody would say, you gave me this pep talk and I started running. But for me, that resistance was so huge, I never really picked it up as something that could be my future ikigai. I'd be like, yeah, it's a friend saying something, big deal. So just kept rejecting it and then kept looking for what my ikigai could be. And finally, when once that shadow was integrated to some degree, could I truly own into it and say, like, okay, this is happening a lot more now. Like, I am hearing this a lot more now. Maybe I should now just believe it and do something about it. So it's the constant judgment or criticism we may have had growing up or in life in general. And anyway, some statistics, 60,000 thoughts per day we get. Out of that, 80 to 90% are negative. So that means we will be latching on to negative and believing it way more quickly than, believing something positive about us. So that's why this is so hard, and it is scientifically backed. But a good idea would also be to having that compassion, or rather that acceptance of um, your strengths. And we'll come to that in a bit. I'll
Yeah.
move to some more slides if that's okay, because we still have a few things. So, what are the tools for shadow work, right? How to meet your shadow? So, self reflection, there are so many tools for that, but some easy ones could begin with brain dump journaling. We are just journaling whatever is coming in our mind or heart or whatever. Meditating on triggers, even during breath work, sometimes you must have seen our past conflicts from people will come up, how we were triggered, what were we saying, why were we so impacted, so we are meditating on those triggers, and projection awareness. When we discuss this, how to meet your shadow, we are noticing judgment about others, inner dialogue, right? Engaging with your shadow self compassionately, right? That I see you, it's okay, we can talk and we can discuss and be with yourself. um, these are your self therapeutic tools, but also it's not that easy to sometimes work with our shadow, because that's why it is called a shadow. Like, it just keeps hiding unless there is light put on it. So guided exploration with the professionals can help, where you have a proper therapeutic support. um, Common myths about shadow. uh, it's only about the bad traits. No, it includes our hidden gifts. As we spoke about, it is scary or overwhelming. In fact, it is quite empowering and healing when it is done mindfully, right? Because if you look at a diamond, why is diamond a diamond? Because it's polished, rubbed so much. So every time we find a dark part of our shadow or a golden part which we are not able to embrace, it's just polishing our own diamond, right? It's like getting better and better. So it is empowering, it's not scary. It is empowering. To begin with, it can be scary, but as your journey goes, it becomes less and less scary and more empowering. So we did this case study where we spoke about Steve Jobs, and I think we had that. A shadow mirror exercise, the first one we already did, right? We reflected and how it has shown up in our life. We have gotten to this some bit of that exercise. So this is okay. Now, when you are going into acknowledging your shadow as part of your growth, that's when that humanness will come. Why should I even embrace? Somebody was also asking question on embracing. How do we embrace and why do we embrace? consider this as a big self growth project and commit to small steps in self exploration. Otherwise, it can get very overwhelming, like we are trying to figure everything all together, right? So now I'd request all of you, because we have been talking for a good amount of time, to just close your eyes and let's see if we can visualize our shadow self. It could be the dark part of it, it could be the golden part of it. And so for next 2 minutes, I'd just like you to stay with your breath, eyes closed, trying to visualize that shadow, and then journal on it. And we'll then meet, regroup after 5 minutes. But I'm here for you all. And as you visualize this shadow self, you may have seen parts of what you reject, the golden, the dark. Now, see if you can embrace it at an energetic level, mental level. Think of it even like a sub personality. Give it a hug. This part of yourself that you are having a hard time integrating. Because after true acceptance, answers can emerge. You may have done some journaling, some thinking. So stay with the process. The theory part of the conversation is now over. But as people share their experiences, there is that experiential learning as part of their examples. So stay back if you'd like to hear in some live examples of shadow, acknowledgement, integration. Otherwise, you've broadly got the concept, and this is just very basic level of shadow training. There can be advanced levels, but I didn't want to overwhelm you all. So we have started at a very basic level of shadow training. And if anybody wants to raise their hand, I think I have a question from Sai, so I could take it and we could go through it. So Sai,
Yeah.
were
Can you
you
hear me?
were you judged? Were you judged for being inconsiderate ever in your life, looking at the message you have posted? Or you identified with the role of a caretaker or
Yeah.
somebody who has to take care of everything?
Yeah. I took on that role early on, but then I'm not able to connect the dots. How is that
Hmm.
I judge people who are inconsiderate? I have an overreaction to that. How is that a shadow? But in me, I have the opposite of it. I
The fact
do.
that it is an overreaction, and you are acknowledging right now as you speak that it is an overreaction, itself is a sign to explore this as a shadow. Because disliking something in another is just one of the many things, and maybe that's why you're not able to connect the dots. But also over um reacting to something and then overcompensating for it in you.
Mm.
So this is that part of so it doesn't matter how we identify that it's a shadow, but the fact that we are overreacting itself is a sign that there is some shadow there. And that's why I was trying to explore if this has become a part of your identity in some way, being a caretaker.
Yes.
Always considerate. There is something which we also call as empathy fatigue.
Yes.
Always considerate.
Sometimes I want to
It's,
lay down that and not just care about myself for a bit. But if I don't do it, then I don't know who else is gonna pick up the baton. So I'd rather do that and keep doing it. So yeah, I feel that.
so as you are talking, it looks like there is a part of your humanness that you want to embrace, because you cannot just always be always on. Whether or not there is somebody else to pick up the battle, everybody deserves a break. And it looks like that human part, humanness in you is what you are trying to embrace and integrate. Or maybe if nobody picks it up and it's a miss, then am I embracing that things will be less than perfect sometimes? I cannot be everywhere all the time being considerate. There will be a resistance. Notice the resistance when you will put down such projects. This morning I had a talk, and night I had this, not morning, afternoon. So in the morning I was preparing for both of these, and there's a friend who's admitted in hospital. So the over empath in me is like, how can you go and do these talks? Your friend is in hospital. I have sent her food, I have yesterday and day before, but that conditioning of me being an empath will not leave me sometimes. So do it anyway. What I mean is embrace the humanness anyway. Take a break anyway. And so the next time the resistance would have become slightly less, and you would have embraced being more human. So tomorrow morning, I am going to the hospital. Am I late? Probably. Could have I missed this afternoon session? No. It was pre-scheduled. I couldn't have. So this is a personal call, but did I have a resistance? A lot of resistance. I was in two minds. Maybe I should, from that session, I should report to hospital and then come to this session. So those talking will keep that talking will keep happening, but you still embrace that shadow that is wanting to rest, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll sit with that and I'll explore that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sharika is asking, how do you overcome the resistance? Can you please elaborate on it if you're still in the call? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So the thing is that sometimes when you feel that when you're in this place like what you mentioned where you want to cancel the call today because you feel you need to be with your friend, but then you know that this is the right thing for you to do. This is um, you know you have to overcome that urge. How, like, and sort of you answered that question that I had, but how do you overcome that
Yeah.
feeling to sort of sabotage what you've set out to do?
It's a beautiful question. It's like a layer deeper also. I already answered maybe part A, but a part B of this would be also to be okay with yourself, even if others may not be okay because they are used to a certain kind of you. But as you become more human or embrace more of your shadow, you may become a slightly different version, because it's the judgment of other person that we are also trying to, maybe they won't even judge, but that fear of, I had a role to play, I am known to be an empathetic person, it's
Hmm.
kind of an emergency, I'm not there, I have supported in some ways but not always, so there may be some judgment at the other end. How can I make peace within myself to be okay with that?
Hmm.
Is embracing my own self more and accepting myself more, that I can take this call.
I felt
So
in this, sorry.
go
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, so I felt in this self-reflection that the shadow self is like what I sometimes do in the sabotage is a lot fear-based because I'm sort of
Hmm.
scared of certain things, and so therefore I will sabotage them to, just because I'm afraid that, whatever is just to protect myself in a way. So like I guess,
Yeah,
being liked, being safe, being that word safety came up a lot for me.
I
And
see.
actually it
Can you
answered
give me an
some.
example?
So I think that not looking after myself in a way like physically and all that. When I was younger, I used to get a lot of attention for looks and all that, and it led to a lot of bad experiences with men and all. And just generally, it wasn't a good thing. And so then later on, I think that I just went totally the other way. And now I'm just struggling with this one thing of taking care of myself again. And
I see.
it sort of just came to me that you're doing this because you want to be safe
Yeah.
from such
Yeah.
experiences. And yeah, thank you for this epiphany.
Oh, this is so
It
deep.
really felt
Yeah.
like an epiphany. So I felt that
Mm.
the shadow self is like
Mm.
I need to tell, because it's like I guess like the golden shadow, and I'm telling
Yeah.
it that it's okay because I'm much wiser now, and we can integrate these two selves. We don't have to. So that was my self
Oh,
conversation. So thank you.
so beautiful. I'm so glad you could embrace
Thank
the
you.
shadow self. Yeah. But yeah, this really comes a full circle. So thank you for
Yeah,
sharing.
thank you. I'll keep you posted on how it's going. Thank you.
On the group, anything that's coming up, please feel free. Madhuri?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Really, like it's a very beautiful exercise, Chandni. Past couple of days, I have had triggers, and I was trying to ask myself that I was over this. Why is it triggering me again? Same thing is coming up, and so after so much of work done, so much of self-reflection, so much of meditation, so much of journaling, why is this coming up again and again? And with people I had like disagreements as well, and when we used to talk and that discussion would lead into an argument, I always felt that when someone was talking about me, I could see that those are the exactly same things that they are doing, and whatever I was telling them were the exactly same things that I was doing, but I could not understand that why is it happening, or but this exercise gave so many answers to that. And it's
Yeah.
it's difficult, but it is also very liberating at the same time to know
Yeah.
that where are we coming from and where the other person is coming from, and actually what we tell others are so deep down inside that hollowness or whatever you call it, it's so deep that we judge others, but it's actually within us. And yeah, it just makes so much sense now that triggers are not external but are internal things that come up.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah,
I'm so
fantastic.
glad for that self-reflection you had during the session. Thank you so much for sharing with all of us also. You're also teaching us in the moment. That's why this place is open for
Yeah, no,
now
it's a
some
beautiful
extended
exercise.
teaching.
Never thought that I had heard about shadow work, but I never did it, or never like really knew the concept. But I could, in the discussion, I could feel that something is there, that I'm talking to myself. It's like talking to a mirror, and we are exactly doing the
Oh.
same thing ourselves. But why
Hmm.
is it so? I never had that answer, but today I got that answer. It was like an awakening, like, oh my God, this is why it is there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
in
thanks.
psychology, we even
Yeah.
have a term to it. We call it attribution error. You guys can look it up. So, in attribution error, if me and Sam are best friends and she does something wrong, okay, and then I do something wrong exactly on similar lines, right? If I have to probably tell to a third person, it could be that I start to give myself that benefit of doubt. मेरे circumstances ऐसे थे, तब ऐसा हुआ था. um, ओके, वरना मैं ऐसा कभी नहीं करती, you know. uh, so I am trying to give a lot of benefit of doubt when I'm speaking about myself. But if I am now expressing anger to Sam, I can go like, you always do this. This is how you are. It's not the first time this has happened. I have been at the receiving end. You always do it. I will make it about that person's character issue.
Yeah, we label that person that you are like this. But when it comes to us, we blame the circumstances, we blame the environment or, external factors.
Sometimes this
Yeah.
is the classic attribution error, but also a few of us struggle the other way around. दूसरों को हम बहुत compassion दे देंगे, but खुद के लिए कोई compassion नहीं होगा. But both are true. Some places we are doing this, and in some places we are doing this. But thank you so much for
Makes
sharing.
so much sense. Yeah. Thanks. Fantastic session.
Oh, thank you. Sai is saying I can write a book on shadow. You have at least all of us who will be reading the book. So sweet. No, but I hear you that there is a lot that comes up, and mindfulness plays a very important role, I think, in all of this. To be mindful of moment by moment, day by day, reflecting can be a lot of good stuff there. But also do consider therapeutic interventions if it gets too much for you to, you know, break it down. It's best to work it with a therapist, especially if some of this is coming from your childhood. Shadow is like stuck. We can't see it only. Somebody has to point it out to us. So let's just say that. Okay, beautiful. I see Anuradha constantly taking some notes. Okay. Also, stay open because I'm also hearing some of you for the first time. So, even just rule me over and go deeper in your journey and debate if you want to in your head on even what I said, speaking to some of you individually because I'm just speaking for the first time or related to this context. But we know where our shadow is. Once this is opened, it's easier to go deeper and deeper. Okay, anybody else wants to share? Or even if you have any questions, not just sharing. Yes, Shipra, please go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. When you spoke about mental resistance, I kind of realized a pattern that has been going on since a while. Since the last 1 month or so, randomly before the CCB session, my mind starts making some random excuse that let it be. Let's not attend CCB today. Some random nonsense. It makes no sense. It doesn't happen till 8:30, 8:40. It starts happening exactly at that time when the session is going to start at 9. And what
Wow.
happened is I started realizing it. I was not well once, so I did not attend. But then I started realizing it's happening continuously. And then what I did is I just observed the thought, and I treat it like an errant child. I'm like, you keep talking, I'm not listening to you. That's literally what I do.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so when I sat for the session also at 9, some part was like, no, I don't want to do this. So what I've realized is that if there's something that's unknown, I don't know if I've interpreted it correctly or understood it correctly, but I feel that my shadow or my mind just wants comfort. It doesn't want to do things that are uncomfortable, and it's a pattern I've started to see because even when I try to process emotions, my mind is like, "ये क्यों करना है? जरूरी है क्या? कल करेंगे." Which doesn't make any sense. So and it's happening a lot, even before CCB. So it's just something that came to my mind, and even during CCB.
Yeah.
So you're not sure, I kind of lose track of time. So after a point, my mind is like, "Ab khatam hoga ye?" I mean,
Yeah.
when is this getting
Yeah.
over? What is going on?
Sure.
All of those
Sure.
things. And
Of course.
Yes, and my body is on a different tangent in CCB because it has its own thing going on, and my mind has its own thing going on. So it's like two different, I don't know, two different people, if that makes sense. But it's like two different saying two different things, and then of course, whoever is conducting the session is the third voice. So I'm like, whom do I listen to? What is happening here? So
Oh, I can imagine the conflict, yeah. But still staying in is pretty amazing and embracing all parts of yourself in some sense. मतलब constant chatter चल
yeah,
रहा है फिर भी आप सबसे regular हो शायद हमारे sessions में.
yes,
So
yes.
this is mind blowing.
Yes, so
हाँ.
my attitude has just been that जो बोल रहा है इसको बोलने दो. Because I'm like, I literally treat it like a errant child who doesn't know what's required and what's best for it. So I hear the
Oh,
thought. I'm like, okay. I don't react or I don't attach too much to it unless I'm really not well. Then that's a different story because then my body is asking for a break. But just something that came to my mind. So if I understood it correctly, that is my shadow just comfort, because I think it's easy and I mean, I think we want comfort in one way or the other. So is that what
it
is my
seems like the challenging anything new or road less traveled or challenging because CCB में तो कुछ भी नया आता ही रहता है ना हमारे को insights और ये सब so वो resistance है उसमें deep जाने की वो तो है ही one of the things that fear of unknown of what could come up अरे फिर it's like opening another can of worms it's like and then work through it and all of that. The other thing I may want to still gently inquire on is that are you a perfectionist?
used to be used to be a lot. Like I would get so much into details that I would, whatever people take half an hour, I'll take 1 hour, and then I realize it's not working out. I can't operate like this. So it's
Mm,
improved a lot in the last 1.5 year that I'm trying to understand that you're human, you can't always be perfect. But I used to be
perfect.
like a big time perfectionist.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least and 10 being most, how much do you really self forgive?
Minus, it's somewhere in -2.5, whatever is. So it comes very it comes with a lot of difficulty to me. I think I'm still holding on to a lot of things. In fact, when Madhuri and you spoke about attribution error, my first realization was that I give everyone the benefit of the doubt except myself. So I'm understanding,
Hmm,
yes, bichara isko ye hai, wo hai. I mean, I'll justify everything for everyone, understand everything.
hmm.
But when it comes to me, no, I don't know what high standard problem I have when it comes to my own self. So I was like, oh, I don't know what's happening there. Also,
Yeah. It also seems like some bit of shadow is around being very perfect for your own self.
yes, yes,
That's why you can't let yourself miss even one. चाहे अंदर से कोई भी आवाज आती रहे. While at one level it is very good because you are persisting in your work. But
hmm,
also isn't it human that कभी तो हमें भी छुट्टी चाहिए होगी. तो जितने भी सेशंस आज तक हुए हैं now this is not an invitation to get absent, don't get me wrong. But give me a ballpark that suppose we have had 100 sessions, right? Is it 90% attendance, 80%, 70, 100? What
I
is
think
it?
she's at 95%
Thank you for that statistic.
She's at
Now, if you
95
can
or
just rank
96.
order
She
that,
is there.
now if you
yes,
can
but
just
that's
rank order
true.
that data for me, is it maximum? Like, is Shipra topping that chart of
There is no
attendance?
maximum. She's an outlier. There are
Is an
there are no
outlier.
people at that at that range. She's not.
So, Shipra, that's the shadow. That's the hidden part. But I'd let you brew this, where you are measuring yourself and then becoming extra hard. Could be, it could also be resistance तो CCB में होगी so वो तो मैं deny नहीं कर रही हूँ. These training sessions also it's like opening so much, so there is that resistance and that's very much there, but it also looks like since you can't forgive yourself easily, since you have been a perfectionist, so it does look like there could also be this part of you that is craving for some humanness, that कभी तो मैं भी छुट्टी पे जा सकती हूँ, राइट?
Yes.
जब मैं हलवाई की दुकान पे भी जाती हूँ ना, तो एक फ्राइडे होता है जब वो समोसा नहीं बनाते और वो लिख देते हैं आज समोसा छुट्टी पे है. Literally, this is what they write, just on a lighter note. Because that day they are doing jalebi. So anyhow, just think about it. It is not for me to answer, but these it looks like these are some of the areas.
Yes, I think that resonates a lot. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Amazing session. Now that jalebi samosa thing is stuck in my head. Thank you.
बट ये नहीं कि अब आप आओगे नहीं सेशन पे, बट रिलैक्स एंड बी ह्यूमन एंड टेक इट इन योर स्ट्राइड. कभी तो आपको भी रेस्ट. जो अंदर वाले बच्चे को या जो उसको बोल रहे हो कि वो टैंट्रम्स थ्रो कर रहा है, तो हाँ, ये तो हम सभी जानते हैं. हम लोग भी, हमें भी पता है कि खुद को वी हैव टू कन्विंस आवरसेल्व्स टू बी डूइंग एनी सेल्फ हीलिंग थिंग. ये करना बहुत जरूरी है. बट व्हाट इज दैट minor exception we can make once in a while to also give it to this inner voice and say chalo aaj chutti kar lo? Why is there so much resistance in that is my question. Something for you to brew more.
Yes,
But
yes,
thank you
very
so
true.
much for
Yes,
sharing. I know it's like completely counter perspective, but I just
yes,
thought I'll still bring it to your awareness if this helps in any way.
yes. I really resonated something that I will have to. That's very true. What you said is absolutely on point. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Dimple.
So, Chandni,
Is Dimple raising?
sorry,
Yeah, I can hear you, Dimple. Please go ahead.
I was saying I've been feeling that resistance towards CCB too, and unlike Shipra, I'm not able to push myself to completely come and do it. Like even today, I'm like, okay, it's theory, it's good. Tomorrow it's CCB. What should I do? That's the thing on my head.
Okay, I hear you. How many sessions in a week? One or two? Are you getting that at least?
I was regular in the first month. This month, the last month, it's been on and off because a lot of things happened. Uh, this month, I think I've just started off. I missed one session.
It's okay. Yeah, so there is definitely resistance now, and as you explained, there are also some circumstances which are probably coming in your way of being in these sessions. So maybe have that compassion, but also the shadow self is that part of us who that also resists growth. So it's very likely that it's saying, I have done enough, एक महीने से तो मैंने सेशन कर लिया, so अभी क्या करना है, so but Dimple, the more the more you are able to attend, it is still more than whatever is now, right? So the progress is not 0 and 1. It is like, ठीक है, आपने अभी एक किया है और अब आप थ्योरी में भी आ गए हो and it has reinitiated. So just embrace that there is a part of you that's basically giving into the pressure of what's happening around you. And then there's a part of you that is still made it to this theory session. So celebrate that part and stay compassionate for the other part that's resisting. And then the two will come together and you may see your attendance getting better. So there's no need to beat ourselves up for anything, but at the same time, जैसे बच्चे को प्यार से समझाते हैं तो it's so quick, right? They understand it much quicker. Does that help?
Yeah, but sometimes it feels like I have to push myself to a session. Like, don't think about it, just go for it.
Yeah, and we should do it sometimes. It's not wrong. That's the right thing to do, especially if we may have been able to not show up on many. So pushing yourself is a part of anyway any healing journey or even exercise routine. Gym में भी खुद को push करने, like despite those thoughts, we still report to the gym
Yeah,
sometimes. And then there are days when we will just not report to the gym. So, but it's very human because this is a mental gym, a
correct.
gym for the soul.
So true.
Thank you, but okay. It looks like we are at the end of the hour, and so these are your theory sessions which are plugged at 90 minutes, which will happen once every week. So to this time it was shadow. We'll keep you posted on what's coming up for next week. But stay tuned, and I'd also like you to um, explore that once this concept of shadow is brought to your awareness, what the CCV sessions may look like now could be also quite different. Okay. It's just now it's fed into us. Okay. So now maybe during CCVs, some of the shadows will get integrated after all. So, Dimple, that's your candy, if that helps. Because now when we sit on such theoretical concepts, the breath will further integrate what we were speaking and talking about. So thank you so much, everyone, for trusting me with this topic. I'll see you all. Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Dr. Sharika. Thank you, Shipra.